Welcome to the Vault Studios Fantasy Football Podcast, your one-stop shop for all fantasy football info. Here are your hosts.
Welcome to another episode of the Vault Studio Fantasy Football Podcast. I am your host, Lewis Glover, and that was our new intro video. Pretty groovy stuff. Corey, what do you think of that, man? How you doing?
Yeah, we're moving up in the world. A little flashy video.
A little production value. We're professional level now, man.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting somewhere.
Yes, we got a video. We got a sponsor in the corner there. I can't even point to it. It's over on your side.
Yeah, it's over there.
Yes, somewhere over there. I don't understand how mirrors work. Yeah, we got a professional level producer back there with JA pushing the buttons as well. We're going to the next level. We're going to the next level.
It's week 3, man. We got to do something.
We got to do something. Hey, for the listeners who don't know, I'm going to give a quick shout out to Corey. It's his 9-year wedding anniversary today. So congratulations to you and your wife, man. Amazingly, you're recording a podcast on the night of your anniversary. I don't know how much longer you want to stay married for.
Yeah, exactly. Might not be much longer if I keep this up. I really appreciate it, though.
Yeah, no worries, man. No worries at all. Before we jump into the show, and we've got a jam-packed show this week for you, reminding everyone we are brought to you by Breaking Oz Memorabilia, who are bringing you some of the best signed, authentic merchandise and helmets in Australia. Head on over to facebook.com/groups/Breaking Oz to get involved. And if you are watching on the live stream, you can see their logo there in the top right-hand corner, and Corey is showing off some serious swag. Why don't you tell everyone what that is? Because that is a beautiful, beautiful looking helmet.
A little Barry Sanders Speed Flex Chrome.
Or just casually, little greatest running back of all time helmet, just chilling there.
Yeah, exactly. A little bit of something you can win at Breaking Oz Memorabilia.
Absolutely. I mean, who's going to be the first person to be like, oh, I don't think Barry Sanders was the greatest ever.
It's coming.
It's coming. Someone's got it. It them's the rules of the internet. You say something and they simply must disagree. Man, week 2. What an absolute meat grinder. It was a bloodbath out there. I mean, I don't recall. I mean, I could be wrong here. It was a hospital ward out there.
Oh, Jay.
Yeah. I'm for those who don't remember the family favorite 90s television drama, that is the theme song to ER being blasted into your ears right now by our producer, JA, because the NFL was a little bit like a hospital ward. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable with the number of injuries that were going on. He's still playing it.
He still loves it.
I'm making an executive decision. He's out. But yeah, man, it was absolutely crazy, right? I just can't remember a time, certainly in my fantasy football lifetime, of how many injuries, significant, serious injuries to starters. I mean, it could be random luck. It could be to do with no preseason. I mean, we won't really know until, studies are done on this in years to come. But what we know is fantasy teams have been decimated. They've been torn apart. And we just got to break down these injuries, these news and notes really quickly, because there's just so many. Really, the biggest one, Saquon Barkley, ACL tear, done for the year. He was consensus number 2 pick going into the season. The New York Giants have signed Devontae Freeman, and pending a COVID test, he will join the team, and he'll join Wayne Gorman, Dion Lewis. I mean, I want no part of this backfield as far as I'm concerned. I don't know what about you and how you feel about it, but I am steering far clear of it.
I actually grabbed Dion Lewis in a number of leagues, despite the Devontae Freeman news. I think he's kind of like the sneaky pickup, just because of the familiarity, obviously, with Joe Judge. I think he's going to have a role. I think his role is probably the one that stays pretty the same throughout the year. I think, the Giants probably look to pass the ball a little bit more, and he's going to be the beneficiary of that. So I like Dion Lewis. Don't spend, too much on him, but if he's still hanging around on your waiver wire, I don't think he's a bad speculative ad.
Yeah, look, gun to my head, if I had to choose one of those three running backs to pick up, it would be Dion Lewis, and there's a few reasons for that. One, he's probably the best pass protector. We know Devontae Freeman has a notorious fail in pass protection on his resume.
Well, they're used to that already. They had Barkley.
Yeah, and he's been there the longest, been the most involved in the game plan, and certainly an active running back for them. And also ESPN's Jordan Renan, who's the beat reporter for the New York Giants and is quite plugged into the organization there, said that Dion Lewis would get the first opportunity to make the role his. I still think this is going to be very much by a committee, but I also think that the Giants defense absolutely stinks outside of James Bradbury, a cornerback, pretty much. I think it's thin everywhere. And so I think negative game scripts, as you said, they're going to pass a bit more. And I think Dion Lewis will be the benefit of that. We saw Devontae Freeman is just washed. I love Devontae. He'll always have a special place in my heart being out of Florida State, but he was washed last year. He couldn't get it done on the ground. And he would scrape together a few games with PPR scoring, but he did nothing with the ball once he got it in his hands. He's washed, he's dust, and there's a reason why no teams wanted any part of him. So, I think you probably feel a little bit stronger about Dion Lewis than me, but I think we can both agree that if there's one name that we would ride with out of this backfield, it would be Dion Lewis.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I do think I'm a little bit higher on him than you, but yeah, like I'm saying, I'm not blowing all my fab on him.
Yeah, for sure. All right, the next big one, just as big, maybe not quite as serious. We're still not entirely sure how long he's going to be out for. Christian McCaffrey, high ankle sprain. Everyone just went absolutely crazy to go and get Mike Davis, waiver wire pickup of the week, all of that kind of thing. Guys, I hate to break it to you, but Mike Davis is not going to be walking into a Christian McCaffrey shaped workload or involvement and things like that. And he also has a very difficult matchup against the Chargers this coming week. There's also Trenton Cannon there, who's been around on the New York Jets and some practice squads and stuff. But the one name that intrigues me the most is a guy that's probably already on people's benches. You might be able to go get him for cheap because he's not been involved in the passing game, and that's Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel had more carries than receptions in college. He averaged 7.5 yards per carry in college when he was carrying the football. And this wasn't just, 30 carries, Antonio Gibson hyper efficiency. He had, well over 150 carries from, if my memory recalls correctly, at Ohio State, tearing off for 7.5 yards per carry. I mean, he's a great athlete. He's really good with the ball in his hands. And I think they might look to get him some carries and manufacture some touches for him, because it hasn't really been there for him yet. It's been the Robby Anderson show. It's been the DJ Moore show. And I'm putting my hand up right now to say I'm was so wrong on Robby Anderson last week. I didn't think he would be able to do it again. But the way they're using him, it's just another player breaking free of the shackles of Adam Gase. And Robby Anderson looks very good for the Panthers. Between him and DJ Moore, they've got a very good group of wide receivers there for Teddy Two Gloves. What's your read on the CMC situation?
I think it's tough. I think Mike Davis will bring, it's not going to be amazing, but I think he's going to be a fine fill-in. I think he'll be an average, RB2 going forward until CMC comes back. He did get tons of targets last week. I don't think he's going to do a lot with those targets. That's the only thing, but I think he'll catch a lot of balls. He will, he'll get 20 touches and then just live with it and hope for a touchdown. So I don't think it's a bad pickup. I think especially if you're the CMC owner and you have them, you could be pretty happy with the replacement value there. But The Curtis Samuel thing is interesting. I would like to see them use him kind of like, I guess, Cordarrelle Patterson kind of out of the backfield type thing would be interesting. But I don't know if they would actually do it. I mean, they have the coaching staff to implement it. So I'm really intrigued by how they kind of roll those guys out there, or they just roll out there with like Reggie Bonifon and Trent Cannon. And
I don't know. Is Reggie Bonifon even on the team anymore?
I thought he was on the practice squad. And
maybe he's on the practice squad. Yeah.
Likely to be promoted.
Likely to be promoted. There you go. Yeah, I would love to see Curtis Samuel get more involved. I mean, just a monster athlete, right? 100th percentile, 40-yard dash, 91st percentile speed score.
I'm disappointed in myself that I didn't see the Robby Anderson stuff sooner. Like, I kind of saw the tea leaves, but I was just kind of ignored them. Obviously, with his coach being, his college coach as well. But I wanted to put 2 and 2 together, but I was just like, for some reason, I just didn't bite. So for all those people that got him super late or off the waiver wire, even, congratulations. I think you
congratulations, because I was completely out on him, and I thought it would be a 1 week hit. He had that one big busted play against the Raiders, but they're not using him like he was used in New York. He's doing a lot of short intermediate stuff, and turns out he's a good player, and get the ball in the hands of your playmakers is a recipe for success. So, congratulations to you if you did go and grab Robby Anderson. I think I maybe fluke drafted him in a couple of best balls late, but that certainly isn't an indicator of any good feeling about him. So that was interesting to see. Let's move on to the Denver Broncos, and they've been battered by injuries, almost as bad as anyone, you would say. Obviously, they lost Von Miller on the defensive side of the ball before the season started. Their starting quarterback, Drew Lock, is out 4 to 6 weeks with a shoulder injury. Jeff Driscoll is the replacement, and they've brought in Blake Bortles to be his backup. And Cortland Sutton, their alpha wide receiver, who I think is, supremely talented, was questionable week 1. Did he miss week 1? I can't recall. Did he play week 1? There's been so many injuries now, but he had a shoulder injury, and then he came back. No, he didn't. And then he came back in week 2 and tore his ACL. Just absolutely stinks for him, stinks for the Broncos. Opens up a whole world of opportunities. For me, the biggest benefactor is going to be Noah Fant, who was super heavily involved in the game plan in week 1 when Cortland Sutton wasn't playing. That's right, he wasn't playing, I recall now. And then, he got the touchdown, and luck started to go more his way when Sutton went out of the game with the knee injury as well. Am I recalling correctly that Sutton did his knee trying to tackle after an interception? Is that what happened? Is that when the injury happened?
It may have. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Maybe someone in the chat, if anyone knows, can correct me on that. But I'm pretty sure there was an interception, a bad ball by Locke, and then Sutton was targeted, and I think it went behind him, and it tipped off his hands. And in desperation, he was chasing down the defensive back who made the interception, and that's when the knee injury occurred. I could be wrong there, but I believe that's what happened. So just absolutely sucks. Another name, sorry, I should have mentioned with Saquon Barkley there is Sterling Shepard, who's gone to IR as well. So weapons falling apart for the New York Giants there. I think it probably does some good things for Golden Tate and Slayton there. And maybe Evan Ingram's value is propped up again, because it seems to be that Evan Ingram really flourishes when he's the focal point of the offense. And I think they might look to do that moving forward. So Noah Fant and Evan Ingram, 2 guys who, I think were they the same draft class? I think they were, right? Fant and
Ingram's older.
Is he?
Yeah, pretty sure.
Oh no, of course he is. Sorry, I'm confusing Ingram and Howard. My mistake.
Fant was drafted last year.
Yes, of course he was. Of course he was. I'm an idiot. But 2 tight ends who I think will benefit greatly from this. So if you've got them on your roster, good news for you. Jimmy Garoppolo, ankle injury, status up in the air. Just a shame for the 49ers. They were badly beat up by this. Raheem Mostert, week to week. Tevin Coleman gone to IR. All I'm reading from this is it's Jerick McKinnon season right now. Unbelievably. The things have broken right. Where we were 3 or 4 months ago, Jerick McKinnon was buried behind Mostert, Coleman, Breda. Brady was traded. Mostert hurt. Coleman hurt. Jerick McKinnon's the de facto starter at running back. They've got Jeff Wilson Jr. there. They've got, not much at wide receiver. And, a backup quarterback coming in, Nick Mullins, although some people will tell you that Nick Mullins is a better quarterback than Jimmy G. So I think the Niners can survive this, particularly if Kittle does come back this week. He, of course, missed the win over the New York Jets with a knee injury. Jordan Reed went off, got two scores there. I liked Jimmy G coming into the season. I thought they had a great schedule. So I've drafted him a lot of places, as particular as my QB2 in some Superflex leagues. So this really sucks in that aspect. 49ers, who are you liking? I mean, I've talked about McKinnon there. He's performed really well. He's looked great, Jerick McKinnon. I know it's hard to trust him, but I'm starting McKinnon this week. Have you drafted him anywhere? Would you start him if you had him?
I'm trying to get him in one league. I'm waiting for waivers to go through. Yeah, if I have him, I'll start him. I'm starting over Deion Lewis. I'm starting him over, guys like that you're picking up.
I'm starting him over Mike Davis, by the way.
Yeah, I mean that's a fair call. The matchup's a little bit better as well. So, yeah, I think that's a fair call. I would grab him, pick him up, and play him. I think he gets tons of work this week, and then going forward, who knows? He might even earn himself a little bit of a bigger role there as well. Yep,
absolutely. And just involvement in the passing game when Mostert comes back is where I expect him to flourish, because Mostert's had a few receptions, but I think Jerick is the better pass catcher, and Mostert is good in that 2-down role. Man, pour one out for the unofficial wide receiver of the Vault Studio Fantasy Football Podcast. Is preseason was derailed with injury. He fought back against the odds. Jalen Reagor got on the field, and now he's got a UCL fracture or sprain or something. It's a thumb injury, and he's gone to injured reserve and is going to miss a good part of the season. Absolutely sucks for him. It sucks for the Eagles. But this has got me right back on the DeSean Jackson train.
Stop it.
I'm telling you, man, it's happening. It's going to happen. There's going to be a week where DeSean Jackson pops off.
1 week.
And I feel it's going to be this week. It's going to be this week. I'm feeling it. He's like second in the NFL in air yards. Like, the opportunity is there. It's going to pop. And you know who else it's going to pop for, by the way? And I'm going to save that. We're going to come back to that later in the show. But DeSean Jackson, man, I think he's going to have a day this week. I think this is going to be one of the few games he pops off. I don't know what else they're going to do at receiver there. Is it going to be J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, bit of John Hightower perhaps, but really Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders is going to get some looks. He's going to be heavily involved, and the two tight ends are going to be heavily involved as well.
You mean the two tight ends led by Dallas Goedert?
Seemingly so, yeah. Which is just unfortunate.
Yeah. It's an interesting situation they got there. As far as like fantasy usage, I don't know if anyone's seen the Roto World article that came out. Dallas Goedert is tight end 5 as far as fantasy usage goes. He's got more targets and air yards than Ertz, so it's very interesting.
It is incredibly interesting, and you wonder whether that's intentional and by design, because Zach Ertz is, let's call him a malcontent because of his contract situation and all that kind of stuff. It's very curious, but I do think Zach Ertz is, a bit more talented, or as equally as talented as Goddard, certainly. Or maybe you put that the other way around. Goddard is almost as talented as Ertz, or maybe just as talented, because Zach Ertz over the past few years has been one of the best tight ends in football. It is strange to see him not getting that sort of usage that we might have expected. Alrighty, Devontae Adams, man, this hurt. I was close to pulling in a big multi last week, but Adams was hurt. They had a lead, and they didn't need to get him back out on the field. So Adams was the one guy on my multi who didn't hit his over. That was unfortunate. He's day-to-day. We're not sure whether he's going to suit up in week 3 yet. What are you doing with this receiving core, man? Are you playing either of them if Adams is out? it's all a bit gross to me.
Yeah, it is gross, but I'm probably playing MVS if I'm playing anyone. He just athletically just kind of different. It's just if he could catch the ball, it'd be nice. But yeah, I think if I'm playing any of them without Devontae Adams on the field, I'm playing MVS.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think this is another major tick for Aaron Jones, who just absolutely crushed it last week.
He's
just
so
arguably the best game of his career. He was just absolutely fantastic. You'd expect them to be getting a deal done soon.
Man, I'm mad at myself for not having more of Aaron Jones. I think the only Aaron Jones share I had, I got auto-drafted in fan.
There you go. Sometimes auto draft works in your favor. Yeah, man. Aaron Jones would be great, and I just think this is good days ahead for Aaron Jones and his involvement because he's a great receiving back as well.
He was really good receiver last week. So
yeah, so I definitely think that leads to him getting more involved and them running the football more as well. And then there's been so many, we've probably missed some, but the last name I have on my sheet here is Paris Campbell. Again, someone who just started so strongly, looked like he was going to have a great rapport with Rivers and he was going to be fitting a role well. Sucks to see him go down. It's not, he'd probably be back this year, but, not anytime soon to helping you win your fantasy matchup. So absolute shame to see him go down. I mean, what are you doing with the Paris Campbell situation? Are you pivoting to Pittman? Do you think Hilton's got anything left in the tank? Because he hasn't looked good. Hilton's not looked good.
He hasn't. He's missed a couple of long touchdowns. And, I mean, Paris Campbell's had, 21% of Indianapolis Colts air yards, and now he's out. So Hilton so far has produced like the wide receiver 73. But he should get back on track this week, I think. I'm staying away from the rest of the pass catchers like Zach Pascal and all those guys. We've been down that road before. I'm probably, detouring to, if you're looking for like guys that are probably on the scrap heap, I'm looking more at like even a guy like KJ Hamler or someone like that before, or even like Preston Williams, who had 2 tough matchups to start. Like you might be able to get him for cheap as well. Yes, someone like that rather than playing one of those Colts receivers.
Yeah, I agree with that. Obviously, Mo Alley Cox had a huge blow-up game.
Yeah, he did.
So I mean, that was cool to see, and it was cool to see him get all of that involvement after he directly caused an interception as well. I don't know if you saw that play, but Rivers hit him right between the numbers near the goal line, and he just let it hit him in the chest, and it popped out and gave up an interception. But they went back to the well. They kept feeding Mo Alley Cox, and good things happened for him. So in deep tight end situations, 14, 16 team leagues, I think he's in play. I'm not even sure what Jack Doyle's current status is. He's another guy who's been banged up. So, really not sure.
Dad runner.
Yeah, absolute dad runner. Jason Witness, Jack Doyle. But I do have a soft spot for him. I think what it is, like guys like Jack Doyle hold like a little part of my heart. It's like, maybe I could have played in the NFL. You know what I mean? Like just a big dude runs terribly. It's like, but if I just worked hard, maybe I could have got there. I think that's what he's just like that, real workman type player in the NFL. Jack Doyle. So got a soft spot for him. Were there any of the injuries that I missed, man? I mean, there was so many. There was all the ones on the defensive side of the ball, of course. We ain't about that life. We're not about that IDP life on the podcast here.
No, we're not. I mean, David Montgomery had a scare, but he came back. That was good to see.
He looked good, man. David Montgomery.
Especially in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and coming back from the injury, I was concerned about him and re-aggravation of injury and all those things. But David, I've got to take my hat off to him. He looked good.
There wasn't really. I'm trying to think if we missed one or not. I'm sure we did, but nothing pops up in my head. But CMC, the Barclays, those are the huge ones, and
the league changing injuries, man.
Yeah, for sure, and then. It was nice to see James Conner come back and put up some stats as well.
Absolutely. And I now
So
declare...
I told everyone to sit him. So
did I, man. So did I. It's all right. I think everyone did. Everyone did. Like, it was... I'm probably saying this like retrospectively. I think it was good process to sit Connor because he appeared to be banged up. Snell played well. They talked about getting all of them some touches. I think it was good process to sit him. It just didn't work out that way. Benny Snell had the fumble, and at this point, I now declare Benny Snell dead. Rest in peace.
Oh, Cam Akers got hurt.
Cam Akers got a rib situation he's dealing week to week, but that's just a whole committee cluster there. I hope my guy Cam Akers gets back to full strength soon. All right, man. Let's move on to our buy or sells of the week. We've got 3 players each who we're looking at buying or selling their performance from week 2, whether we believe they can sustain it. I'm going to give you the floor first, man. Who is your first buy and or sell?
Oh, well, so my first buy is Josh Kelly. This guy has been really like a breath of fresh air. Probably more of a bane of existence for Ekeler owners, but for anyone that drafted Josh Kelly late, and you could have got him pretty much last running back. Well,
he was free.
Your last pick.
He was free.
Yeah, he was free. So to get Josh Kelly where you got him, and his current fantasy usage is RB15, and our actual PPR ranking right now is at RB25, and he's had 6 to 1 inside 10 carries versus Ekeler. So if they get close, it's Josh Kelly, and that's what you want to see. I mean, I think he's right now. I mean, he's a solid RB2 or like a high-end flex play. So I think that continues going forward. I don't think the Chargers are just going to be like, all right, we're going to give Ekeler 30 carries or 30 touches. That's just not going to how it's going to roll. So Josh Kelly's done enough so far in weeks 1 and 2 to keep rolling out and getting splitting the work there pretty much.
I mean, you say split. In terms of carries, it's been a 50-50 split. Both of them have 35 rush attempts each. Austin Ekeler's only had 5 targets through 2 games, which is concerning. Josh Kelly's got 3. But yeah, man, I mean, Josh Kelly certainly puts a ceiling on Austin Ekeler, but I've drafted Ekeler in a few places, and I'm not too concerned. I think, Herbert being there is probably going to be better for him. It looked like that was certainly the case last week. So I'm not panicking if I've drafted Austin Ekeler anywhere. And certainly Josh Kelly in his own right is startable on a week-to-week basis in your flex spot. Yeah,
for sure. And I mean, just going into the numbers a little bit more, he saw his snap rate climb all the way up to 52% after being at 27% in week 1. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Kelly handled 23 carries against the Chiefs and caught 2 of 3 targets. So I think Kelly's a very interesting play. I think he could be a top 12 play this week.
Interesting.
Against Carolina.
I mean, it's right, exactly. It's an absolute smash spot. Now,
I like them both this week, by the way. It's not just.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, Austin Ekeler has only had 5 targets. He has run 41 routes, which is, let's see here. That is, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th. Well, it's like equal 8. He's about 8th in routes run at the running back position. So, the opportunity, like he's out there, they're getting him to run routes, they're getting him involved in the passing game. It's just whether he's going to get the looks, but at least the routes are there. He's out on the field on passing downs. So I think better days are ahead for Austin Ekeler. And yeah, man, this week, both of them could be an absolute smash spot against just a weak Panthers run defense.
Yeah, for sure. What's yours?
All right, my first buy of the week, and it feels a little bit unclean to say this, given of how bad he was, relatively speaking, to what we'd expect last week. And that is my guy, AJ Green. And I'm buying AJ Green. Everyone's out on him. Everyone's down on him. But man, was he 13 targets last week? The involvement was there. Just some things didn't go right for him. He got, there was I think it was the first play of the game, or certainly on the opening drive, he had that bomb that he got winded on as he tried to bring it in, and the play was reviewed. I think he had 13 targets, just caught 3 passes. It was just excruciating for me to watch as someone who'd started AJ Green in a ton of places, anticipating volume. Unfortunately, it didn't quite work out for me. But yeah, AJ Green has just been absolutely massively involved. I don't think he's washed yet. I just think he's rusty, man. I think he's rusty, and I think his rapport with Joe Burrow is getting there and improving. Some of the incompletions were certainly on AJ Green. There were some concentration drops. There was some poor body control, but there were some other ones that were on Joe Burrow as well, throwing behind him, missing him completely. So I think these two guys are going to get on the same page, and if they do, look out, because AJ Green has had 43.5% of the team's air yards, which is fifth in the NFL. He's had 23.4% of their targets. He's had 22 overall. So I think better days are ahead for AJ Green moving forward. And so, I'm not buying his output, but I'm certainly buying his usage. And I'm using this opportunity to go and get myself another wide receiver, because people, if people didn't watch Thursday Night Football last week, they just looked at the box score. They see his 6-point-something fantasy points. Another rough week for him. I think he could probably get a trade done.
That's what I'm going to ask you right now. What would you offer for AJ Green? Because I'm trying to get him in one league. I don't have the best assets. I do have some plus running backs. I could probably get him, but I'm almost thinking my running backs are almost more valuable than he is at this point.
What are we talking? We talking redraft?
Yeah,
we're talking redraft. Okay, let's play. Let's throw some names out of here. Let's throw some names and see what we're looking at.
All right. Well, let's say, would you trade? Let's see. I gotta go deeper here. Devin Singletary for AJ Green.
Yes.
All right. Kareem Hunt for AJ Green.
No.
Too high.
Too high. So we're somewhere between Devin Singletary and Kareem Hunt.
So does that include the likes of like David Montgomery coming off the big game?
Ooh. That's a tough one. It's like, oh man, that's a really tough one, because Montgomery looked good. They gave Cohen a contract, but his usage, they didn't all of a sudden start to use him a ton. I'd probably lean Montgomery there and it's because of positional scarcity, especially with a few big name running backs going down.
Yep.
So that's just.
What about David Johnson?
No, I keep David Johnson.
He is getting a ridiculous 90% snap share.
Right?
Okay. That's fair, I think.
Yeah. So I think that gives you an idea where I'm at. So who's your second buy or sell of the week?
My second one is probably someone that probably getting a little bit of flack on, but it's all right. I'm gonna die on this hill. It's sell Josh Allen.
You mean QB1 Josh Allen?
Sell Josh Allen, like I said. He's played the second easiest pass schedule so far in the league, and it gets much tougher after this. I think, Brian Daboll has done a great job in that offense of giving Josh Allen easy throws. They've played, 10 personnel. I think they played the most 10 personnel in the league. They've also run 5 wide receivers 7 times this year, and on those plays, Josh Allen's 7 for 7. Some ridiculous numbers. They've run tons of 11 personnel, but teams that can match up with them, receivers. I think it'll be a really good test this week. The Rams aren't world beaters in the secondary, but they do have some guys that can match up well with them. So I'm really interested to see how he does this week. I'm just not sold. Obviously he's played very well the last 2 weeks. We've had many conversation about him in the DFF chats. It's just, I'm not quite sold yet. I think he's gonna have to give me a little bit more than 2 weeks of production to be like, oh yeah, he's a guy. But fantasy production wise, like, you can't fault him, but I think you could get some really good value for him right now.
Right, and that's sort of where the conversation comes in. I was mistaken, by the way. He's QB2 at the moment, behind Chef Russell Wilson, who's just been cooking up a storm. But Josh Allen's been good, man. But as you said, I mean, credit to the team, right? To Dable, to McDermott. Like, they've maximized the team around Josh Allen, and they're putting him in situations to succeed, which is all you can ask from coaching.
Yeah, and they've upped their play action this year as well, which was a really big thing for them, because they actually did really well out of play action last year, but they just didn't use it enough. So they've upped it, I think, like by 10% so far this year. So and it's working. So kudos to the coaching staff.
Play action works, man. Play action is tremendous. And, contrary to what everyone sort of believes, that, you need to set up and you need to establish the run to get play action to work. It's not like all of the evidence that we have says it's not the case. It's just about deceiving the defense, getting that little extra time. And play action is incredibly, efficient in terms of passing. And, for those who want to say, play action, you need to establish the run. Go back and watch the Browns opening drive. I think the first 2 plays were play action passes without a run being played. The defense bites down on it because they have to. It's what the linebackers are trained to do. So it's great to see. It's advantageous for the quarterback. It's a way of getting some easier throws and some looks for them. I think it's fantastic. It's great for fantasy. All credit to the Bills. I really like what they're doing there. Now, the reason why I'm potentially agreeing with you in sort of selling Josh Allen is only because he's been so good. You might be able to flip him for, a bona fide starter at another skill position, one where you might be lacking some depth. So if you can do that, I'm on board. Otherwise, I'm happy to ride out Josh Allen until the schedule gets harder down the line. And to be honest, if we keep seeing this level of play out of Allen over and over and over again, I'll take a slight dip and I'll ride him out to the rest of the season. But I do take your point that the schedule gets harder, and he's had a cupcake schedule to date. A little bit tougher this week against the Rams, and that is one matchup I am very excited to watch. Is going to be Stephon Diggs and Jalen Ramsey going at it. That's gonna be good. I'm very intrigued to see how that matchup plays out for sure.
Yeah, what's your next one?
Man, my next one. There's a theme here. I'm buying up old, allegedly washed wide receivers. Julian Edelman, man. Julian Edelman. At age 34 was fantastic. He had his career high in receiving yards, 179 yards. He was a beast. I think he was like the wide receiver, like 4 or 3 on the week or something. He was great. He connected with Cam well. Cam was slinging the rock. Cam looked sensational throwing the ball, and Edelman cooked Jamal Adams multiple times, which was just great to see. You just love to see that, especially if you're a Patriots fan. And we talked about, in the preseason, before the season started, Edelman's ADP was criminally low. He was the wide receiver 9 or something ridiculous in PPR scoring last year, was being drafted in the mid 30s along with AJ Green. And there were 2 guys that I with both of them. One's had the opportunity and not produced. One certainly had the opportunity and produced in Julian Edelman. He was sensational in week 2, and he's very much the go-to guy. He's absolutely dominated the Patriots' targets. He's got 29% of the team market share, which is good for 7th or 8th in the NFL. and he's also got just a ridiculous market share. I believe he leads the NFL in team market share. Yes, he does. He's got 51.5% of the Patriots' air yards, which is a team high. Like, no player has got a greater percentage of their team's air yards. So just love to see that from Julian Edelman. I think you can comfortably play him as a wide receiver 2 on a week-to-week basis, and you got him at wide receiver 4 or 5 prices. So, if you've suffered an injury and you have Edelman on your roster, he can certainly go a long way to helping you weather the storm. And I'm going out and I'm trading for him as well.
Yeah, if he can. Like you said, he's a leader in air yard share. In fantasy usage, he's at 17.2. He's wide receiver 10. Actual PPR, he's at wide receiver 7. So yeah, he's a top 10 receiver right now. So if you can grab him, definitely do it. The only player that even close to him in air yard share is Jamison Crowder, and that was just off 1 week. So yeah, definitely if you can grab him because I think he's going to continue to get peppered with targets and even schemed plays, and the play action's just been so money for this team. And yeah, there's not much else on that roster right now. So
right, and he hasn't scored a touchdown either. So given he's got 236 receiving yards, no touchdown. Yeah, there's some positive touchdown regression coming as well in the coming weeks for Julian Edelman, I would expect. So I expect him to get in the end zone the next game or the game after, just based off the opportunity he's getting. He's had 3 targets inside the red zone as well. Obviously, the Patriots with Cam are going to run the ball more often than not down in the red zone, particularly those valuable situations inside the 5. But Edelman will get involved more, and they're going to keep developing this game plan and keep starting to get the receivers involved in creative ways. And Edelman is going to be a very, very, very big part of that moving forward. All right, who's the last guy you've got buying or selling this week?
Yeah, I'm buying Leonard Fournette. It might be a little bit of a surprise, but I don't think it really is. I think Jones scored last week, but then lost a fumble, and that pretty much ended it for Jones. Fournette's snap rate jumped he had 13% in week 1, moved all the way up to 43% in week 2. And he finished the game for the Bucs, and obviously he had that huge run. I'm not just talking about that huge run either. Like, I think it's just like that. It's trending that way for Fournette, and I think it's time to try to grab him, because I think if this offense does start hitting its stride, Fournette could be in for some big days. So that's who I'm buying in my third buy.
See, that's interesting, because my sell is Mr. Leonard Fournette, my final and third sell. And the reason why I'm selling is because I'm using this big game, right? Everyone saw him. He looked good. He had the big run. He had the touchdown. But I'm obviously have 2 touchdowns. I'm going the other way here with Leonard Fournette, because I think his involvement.
You just love Ronald Jones. It's okay.
Ronald Jones, apart from the fumble, he's looked fine, and I still think there's a place for him in this offense. I also think Shady McCoy's been involved far more than I would like.
He's done.
I don't know, man. He had some good reception. He obviously dropped that sitter in the end zone, which Tom Brady was ready to murder him for. But I don't know. I just think this stays a committee. I also think when we talked about this, it was a smash matchup spot. The Panthers, dog shit run defense. I played Leonard Fournette in DFS. His price was just stupidly low, and it worked out. I'm now using this opportunity, if I can, to move him for someone else. Because my opinion is, if you drafted Leonard Fournette when he was on the Jacksonville Jaguars, you were a donkey for doing so, and you got bailed out because he got signed onto a good offense. He's had a blow-up game against a bad matchup, but I don't think it's ever going to be like the workload you drafted Leonard Fournette for.
Oh, of course not. No.
Right. So this is what I'm saying. If Leonard Fournette is on your roster, you probably drafted him in the early 3rd round. And I'm saying, if you can get out now off the back of a big game, I'm going to do that. And maybe that's just me being too stubborn and holding on to my priors from the preseason and how I felt. And maybe I'm not being reactive enough and excited enough about his increased workload. But for me, yes, it's one fumble, and I can see Jones being punished in game for that. But I think they go back to practice. I think, I think they get to share the touches around. They develop the game plan, and I think I think it could be, Ronald Jones one week, it could be Fournette the other. It could be neither. It could be they throw the ball 40 times. So, things could shake out a number of ways. So I'm just using this opportunity to sell high on.
Well, you can sell them to me. How about let's do that.
Well, the thing is, I don't have any Leonard Fournette because I wasn't a donkey and I didn't draft him.
I don't have any either. That's why I'm buying them.
That's why you're buying. Okay. All right. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to go out and try and buy some Leonard Fournette cheaper than you, and then sell them to you at an inflated cost. All before 3 a.m. on Monday morning.
Sounds good, man. For sure.
Awesome. All right, yes, that was our buy and sells of the week. So let's move on now to our favorite fantasy games of the week. What games are we targeting in DFS, or guys that we go, okay, if this guy's on my bench, I might be pushing him into my lineup because I like this game. I want lots of, I want to attack this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, due to lots of different things, but I'm looking at a couple matchups here, and I think that Titans game, Derrick Henry, this is smash spot.
Tractocito, absolutely.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously you're looking at, as far as like fantasy points, I mean, the over-under in that Dallas Seahawks game is like 55. Smash everyone in this game. So you're just playing everyone that you could possibly play in this game.
Dude, they could put the line at like 65 and I'd still bet the over.
Like the only guy I'm a little bit worried about is Elliott, but I think he'll just get enough in the passing game that it won't matter. But because like apparently, according to PFF, like the Cowboys have like a negative 45.7 rating against this Seahawks D line, so that's not great. But all the receivers, all the quarterbacks, like they're just gonna be chucking around. So like as far as fantasy, I think you got to play him. Like Gallup has kind of been disappointing. He hasn't really been getting a lot of looks. I think you play him in this matchup, and the Seahawks secondary is not good.
No, it is not. I'm playing everyone. I don't think I'm playing Dalton Schultz. I think that was
you don't love Dalton?
I think it's a bit of an anomaly, and I don't like his chances with Jamal Adams roaming around there, to be honest. But yeah, I'm playing Cooper. Yeah, obviously you're playing all those guys. I mean, just what a tremendous matchup. This is going to be stacks galore for DFS. And I will say on that defensive line, offensive line matchup, the Dallas Cowboys were just torn apart at offensive line.
Yeah, exactly.
Two or three starters missing. I think Tyron Smith is scheduled to come back this week. Producer JA, if he's listening, he might give us a little note there, being the Dallas Cowboys fiend that he is.
Truther.
The truther. But yeah, I mean,
yes. He put yes at the bottom.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So that's good. That is good news.
I don't know if that's yes that he's a truther or yes that
yes everything. He's just yes to everything. It looks like Tyron Smith is coming back. So I missed this during the broadcast or in the pregame analysis, but me and JA were talking before we went live, and the dude who was playing left tackle for the Cowboys hadn't played left tackle since high school. So incredible that they were able to keep Dak upright. I mean, Dak was sensational. Just if you drafted Dak, congratulations. Absolute monster day for him. QB1 on the week, 3 rushing scores. Will certainly.
Well, if you listen to this podcast, you drafted Dak. So
absolutely.
I actually have Dak in Russell Wilson in a super flex. So I didn't lose last week.
That's nice. Yeah, I've got Dak and Josh Allen in a super flex. So they were popping off, and I made a silly decision about 2:55 a.m. in that league, and I picked up Ross Dwelly and Jordan Reed off the waiver wire because
nice.
I was playing Jordan Reed, and then I made a last-minute decision to switch to Dwelly. But I still won the matchup, so all was well. All was well. Yeah, then the game that I'm looking at, and I suppose it's a little bit counterintuitive, only because one of the teams involved. But I mean, I really like the Falcons-Bears game in the Dome in Atlanta, because the Falcons defense absolutely stinks. I mean, they're diabolical. Yeah. They're just team mojo. This is very just ethereal here. It's just going to be at an all-time low after losing that game in heartbreaking fashion. I still think the offense is going to fire. There's just too much talent. Hopefully Julio Jones is okay and he's ready to fire. But
I don't think so. I don't think he's going to play.
Oh no! What?
They said that he. Last thing I read about Julio was that he kind of re-aggravated his hammy, and they're just going to see how it goes. But I don't know. Fire up Russell Gage.
Yeah, Gage. Calvin
who's
Ridley.
even the third receiver on this team? If he's out, is it what's his name? It's that weird. That's that crazy name, right?
Yeah. Olamide Zacchaeus, right?
Yeah.
Olamide Zacchaeus, yes. Pulled that one out of the gray matter. No spreadsheets for me. There we go. I think I've got him in like 2 dynasty leagues, like super deep dynasty leagues. So maybe play him. Maybe no, he'll be a DFS. He'll be a DFS play for me. Super cheap DFS play. But I think this is a huge. Why I like this game is because you know how high I've been on Allen Robinson. It hasn't worked out. Yeah. I think this is an absolute get right spot for Allen Robinson. I mean, the potential for him is like top 3 wide receiver this week, just because of the matchup and the volume. I think the Falcons will score points in the Dome. I think Trubisky will have to throw to keep up. And I think it's going to be the Allen Robinson show. So I do like this one. And I think in DFS, you can build some cheap game stacks around this, getting Trubisky in there because he's dirt cheap. He might offer you some with a little bit of rushing upside. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, only 47% of Robinson's 17 targets have been deemed catchable.
Yeah, but he's caught 100% of the ones that have been deemed catchable.
Right. So, I mean, he's kind of in that AJ Green spot because AJ Green's 45% catchable target rate. So, and he's gotten 29% of the target share for the Bears. So, yeah, he's definitely in a nice spot this week. I mean, the Falcons have allowed the second most passing yards in the NFL so far. So, I don't mind that one at all.
Yeah. And the other
David
one,
Montgomery. Let's go.
Fire up David Montgomery and don't play Todd Gurley, RIP. The one other game I want to bring up here, and the Steelers have got a great defense, obviously, but I think this is a great game as well as Steelers Texans, and I think there's points in this one. I do think there's points in this one. I think Deshaun Watson's mobile enough to make plays against the Steelers. And I think I don't think their defense, the Texans defense, is particularly up to much. And I think James Conner gets involved here. And I think Deontay Johnson has a day. Juju Smith. I think this is another good game to target as well. I think you play Will Fuller despite getting burned last week if you've got the Stones.
We told you his hammies are going to blow up.
Yeah, they're going to at some point. It's just
they did. They said his hamstring injury, but he came back.
That's what I mean. It's always going to be a when, not if. But you just gotta, I did see my love, Brandon Cooks. Your guy, Brandon Cooks. Whatever, like 8 for 96, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. Yeah, casual 8 for 97 or 6 or something like that.
Casual, like 16, 17 PPR points. Just no big deal.
No big deal when he's on my bench. No big deal.
So you deserve that. You've been touting him up, and you're too cowardly to play him. So that's on you. Man. All right, they're the major games I think we're targeting. The one last game I'll quickly bring up here that I do quite like. Obviously, Ravens and Chiefs. We all know everyone's targeting those games. Yeah. But I think Cardinals and Lions is an interesting one as well, particularly if Kenny Golladay comes back. Total's high. Yeah. Cardinals are playing at a hell of a pace. Lions defense is not good.
Abysmal.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Abysmal, not good. So I think the Cardinals' offense will have a day. Be good to see Kenny G come back and Marvin Jones go back to secondary duties. I think both of those could pop off. And what's the golden rule? Start tight ends against the Cardinals. I think T.J. Hockenson could have a bit of a day here as well.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I think if you're looking at potential DFS plays and things like that, Kyler Murray, Will Hopkins stack. Your boy Kenyon Drake needs to step it up. This is a good spot for him. Everything is pointing up in this matchup for him on this one, so definitely grab those guys. I think getting Golladay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Kenyon Drake's ownership is going to be incredibly suppressed because he hasn't really done much looking at the box score.
I think it's a good.
But his opportunity has has relatively been there. I'm just trying to he's ranked at running back 22 at the moment, excuse me. But he's had 36 carries, which is fine enough through two games, certainly.
On the Roto World thing, on the article about fantasy usage, he's currently at RB16.
Right.
And his actual PPR spot is at RB24. So,
right. Yeah. So I
he's right on that fringe, RB1, RB2, and I think this is a good spot for him.
Huge get right spot for him. So I do like that one as well. And you can build some, as you said, some really nice game stacks going both ways with both quarterbacks, getting Hopkins, bringing it back with Golladay and or Jones, and getting some TJ Hockenson in there as well.
Yep.
All right, man. Let's now. Last season on the podcast, we focused heavily on streaming the quarterback, the different positions and stuff like that. I thought we'd bring it back for this season. Now that we've got a couple of games of sample size, there's been a lot of roster churning with injuries and things like that. Potentially now more than ever, people are going to need some good streams at the quarterback position and at the on their defense as well. I might throw a tight end to you on the fly as well, just to be difficult.
How dare you?
So I know, right? So we're using ESPN here for ownerships, and we're looking at players who, I'm going with under 30%, 30% and under sort of roster ownership, where and the positions you can stream: quarterback, defense. Like I said, tight end if I want to be really difficult here. But let's start with the quarterback position. Who are you looking at to potentially stream at the quarterback position for this week?
What about Gardner? Gardner's not highly owned.
Gardner is certainly not high owned enough. And
24.9%.
Crazy. I mean, you should be playing Gardner Minshew if you.
Throw him out there if you're streaming a quarterback. Yeah, for sure. I like Gardner this week.
Maybe you drafted Carson Wentz. Maybe you drafted Matt Stafford. Maybe you drafted Jimmy Garoppolo. Like in this range of quarterbacks, or maybe you drafted Big Ben Roethlisberger or Tom Brady, or there's some quarterbacks who you would have drafted way ahead of Minshew who aren't necessarily getting it done to the level you'd hope right now. I think Minshew in this smash spot against the Dolphins, Thursday Night Football, without Byron Jones, Minshew has played lights out. And I think this is, I completely agree that Minshew is in a good spot here to go and pick up. He's been a popular ad, but he's certainly not high owned enough to take him out of streaming contention. So Gardner Minshew is absolutely a quarterback who's worth streaming this week. The guy I've gone for is the rookie, got his start last week and looked very, very solid. It'll be interesting to see how he goes week 2. But the matchup this week against the Panthers is why I feel comfortable starting Justin Herbert. I mean, he's got weapons around him. We know it's a smash matchup spot against the Panthers. No one scares you on the defensive side of the ball there. I just think it's a good situation. He's an athlete. We've seen him move. He can pick up some yards with his feet. So Justin Herbert, I think, is in play this week against the Panthers.
Yeah, for sure. I don't mind that at all. I think Chargers roll in that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Who's a defense that you're looking to pick up? If you and I are
talking about that game, I grabbed this defense everywhere because I was a big Saints defense guy, and now they got shredded last week, and now they're playing the Packers. I was like, nope, I'm not doing that. So I'm going Chargers.
Nice.
They lost CMC. You can get Chargers, or I think they're like, I don't know, they're under 30, just under 30, I think. 30% owned. So you can grab them pretty much anywhere. I grabbed the Chargers this week. I think they wreak havoc on Teddy Two Gloves, and that offense without CMC, it will be a work in progress. And yeah, I like the Chargers this week.
Yeah, look, I love that call. The one I'm going for, maybe a little bit controversial, but no questioning their credentials on the defensive line. I'm going with the Washington football team against the Cleveland Browns.
You love the Washington defense.
I mean, how can you not like 86 first-round picks on the defensive line? Like, it's unbelievable the amount of talent that they've accrued there. Not much happening at cornerback, obviously, but I just think this team, if they can get to Baker, which they can get to Baker. I mean, the offensive line, I would say the Browns' offensive line looked very good, and Jedrick Wills at left tackle, I thought he was immense, but it was also going against the Bengals. Right. Yeah. So, and Conklin was out hurt. I don't know if he's 100% ready to go this week. I think he might be. I'm not sure what the situation is there, but it doesn't matter. This offensive line is immense. The defensive line, excuse me.
Yeah. I mean, they had 8 sacks against Philly in week 1. They already up to 11 sacks. They had 3 last week. Mm-hmm. Baker can't see. Baker's too short. I don't know. I heard that. You can see it, the way that they scheme their offense now. When Baker rolls out, he makes really good throws. Because you know why? Because he can see. I believe I was listening to the GM podcast from Mike Lombardi, and he pointed this out. He was like, Baker literally can't see. That's like their biggest problem. He has all these weapons, but he can't see them over his offensive line. So when he rolls out, like, he'll make good throws. When they move the pocket a little bit, he can make good throws. But if he's just, it's a 3-step drop or a 5-step drop, and he's got to, look over the field, he's just too short. He can't see the field, and it's a problem. It's a problem for that Browns team. And I think with Washington's pass rush, it could be one of those games where everyone looks at Baker and it's just like, this is just not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, Baker was terrible week 1. He was under all sorts of duress, and then in week 2, I think. I can't remember where I saw this statistic, but it was on Twitter. I can't remember which account tweeted it. So, apologies for not being able to credit it. But he had 2.6 seconds average release time inside the pocket last week. Now, Drew Brees led the NFL last year in terms of time in the pocket, and he had an average of 2.4 seconds over the course of the season. Baker was on holiday in the pocket, just picking out, and that's the reason why he looked so good. And the Bengals didn't have Mike Daniels. They didn't have Geno Atkins. They weren't able to generate any pressure up the middle, which is where Baker can struggle if he can get some interior pressure. So
and he still didn't have that great a game. I mean, he threw, like, percentage-wise, he was good. 16 to 23, 219 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Like, Washington's defense is, a problem. It's going to cause all kinds of issues. If they can jam up that run game, it's gonna be a tough game. And even like on the betting side of things, looking at that Washington +7, it's very interesting. If they can generate any kind of offense, it would be nice to see. But I think this could be a good call by you, taking Washington D.
And the one last point I'll make on this before we move on is that, I like Baker. I'm a fan. I hope it works out for him. But one thing he will do is, you talked about him rolling out of the pocket, looking for space. He is not the athlete that he thinks he is. And what he will like to do is try and move on the run and throw the ball and make throws with guys hanging off him and things like that. He will fumble the ball. He's got a touch of the Winstons about him in some aspects. When the pocket collapses and the pressure's coming from everywhere, he will make some bad decisions and fling it up into double, triple coverage and things like that. So if the wheels come off, it could go terribly. And, you could be looking at 15, 18 points for this defense who are just, kind of sat there. So
Yep. I agree with you.
Look at that. Look at that. In agreement. In agreement for our streams. So we'll be bringing that back now every week for the rest of the season. We'll be looking at quarterback defenses who we can stream moving forward. All right, man. Let's bring it over. Let's to the final segment of the show, and we'll get out of here. We've been going for an hour now, so we'll wrap it up right here with our top sport bet of the week. Thanks to our friends at topsport.com.au. Head on over there, choose the Vault Studio as your referral. Look at that, Corey pointing up to the Top Sport logo. Now you're gonna love this one, man. This is my Thursday night special, Thursday night football special. All so right. If you're listening to this before,
let's do it
before lock. Now bear with me because it's a big one. It's a big one. There's a few legs.
I like big ones. I like big ones.
Gardner Minshew at least 266 passing yards. DJ Chark, at least 53 receiving yards. Keelan Cole, at least 43
Is DJ Chark going to play?
Is he hurt?
He's hurt.
Damn it. When? I thought he was good to go.
He might, good to go, meaning like he might play or like just good to go.
Well, this bet could be dead before it gets off the ground anyway. So if Chark plays, check that injury status before you place this bet. I got Keelan Cole at 43. Mike Gesicki at least 49 receiving yards. Devontae Parker, who is set to go. He's going to play. Shut your mouth. Parker's going to play at least 61, and then the beard Fitzmagic to have at least 16 rushing yards. Now, in his last 6 games for the Dolphins, he averages 25 rushing yards per game. And so, if you fold those in to a multi-bet with our friends at topsport.com.au, it's paying $17. So I quite like that one. If you could pull Chark out and still get some really good odds there, and I really like the Keelan Cole line. And the great thing is you can adjust these odds as you see fit. So if Chark sits and you think Cole's going to have an even bigger day, tweak up that line, push it up to 50, get wild with it, push Gesicki up higher if you like. You can do whatever you want. You can adjust the lines as you see fit and change the odds to your liking. And if you want to get real crazy here, just a little cherry on top, a little sprinkling of some gambling magic right here. Add the points. Take the over 49 points, because I don't think either of these teams has come to play defense. It's the beard. It's the mustache. They're going to be slinging the rock. I think there's going to be points. There's going to be yards. We're playing Minshew.
48.5. This is your time.
There we go. Take it. Get over it. Get on the line there at 48.5 to 49. I like this game. Working from home on Friday. Well, actually, no. I'm going to the office on Friday. Damn. I know. Look at me go. But I'll be watching from my desk. Do not worry. Do not worry about that. But yeah, Thursday night football, aka Friday mid-morning to early afternoon.
Friday morning. It's a pre-lunch football.
Yeah, it doesn't have the same ring to it, does it, as Thursday night football. Friday mid-morning football on ESPN. Yeah, but that'll do it, man. This was great. It's always good to talk fantasy football with you. Thank you, everyone who tuned into the live stream. Thank you, everyone who listens and downloads. If you're listening on iTunes, head on over, give us a 5-star rating and review, help everyone else find this podcast. You can follow Corey on Twitter at CMoney52. You can get myself on Twitter at FF_down under. And that'll do it for this week. Have a fantastic Friday. Enjoy Friday mid-morning football. Good luck this week on your slate. Get involved in some DFS. Get involved in some player bet over on topsport.com.au. Check out our friends at Breaking Odds Memorabilia. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and we'll catch you next week.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning into the Vault Studio. If you enjoyed this podcast, please give us a follow on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If you want to keep up with our video content, head over to YouTube, subscribe, and click the notification bell. Thanks for listening.